it's going to wreck because the tabernacle's not right. I said, hold up, break this thing down. What you talking about? The tabernacle's not right. He said, well, see, you're not a sailor. You don't understand that the ancient maritime word for what keeps the ship together is called the tabernacle. See, you know what the mast is. That's that long beam that goes up and connects to the sail. But in order to fix the mast into the ship, you've got to have the right tabernacle. And if the tabernacle is not right, then you know that the ship is going to wreck. And I'm here to let you know that you've got to tighten your tabernacle to make sure that your ship will not wreck, because every ship will experience storms, but you've got to have the tabernacle right. And that's what happens when we come to worship. That worship is how we tighten up our tabernacle. But part of our problem is because we are so concerned about praise and worship that we don't realize that worship is a revolutionary activity. That worship will change your mind and change your spirit, but should also change your community. And a lot of the theology that we have today will loosen the tabernacle instead of tighten the tabernacle, because we have preachers who will stand up in the pulpit who are concerned more about prosperity than they are concerned about the people of God, where they stand up as theological exotic dancers hoping that somebody will put $1 in their ecclesiastical G-string when they preach, and that's not a tight tabernacle. You've got to make sure the tabernacle is tight. If you want to tighten the tabernacle, you've got to talk about HIV. If you want to talk about if you want to tighten the tabernacle, you've got to talk about the prison industrial complex. If you want to tighten the tabernacle, you've got to have a prophetic word that deals with racism and sexism. You've got to deal with classism. You've got to tighten the tabernacle. And a lot of people are leaving the church. Sail is up, but the tabernacle's not tight. And the sailor says, it may look all right, but until when you get in a storm, your ship will capsize. But if your tabernacle is right, when the tabernacle is right, it will allow your ship to do something called a heel and a keel. The heel and the keel of the ship is when you see a sailing ship and it has the right balance in it and it looks as if it's going to turn over, but it never capsizes. And you raise the question, why don't you capsize? And the ship will tell you, I've got my tabernacle right. And there are people who are going through, but they never turn over because they have their tabernacle right, and they can make it through life. Turn this way, but they can still give praise to God because there's something on the inside that works on the outside. They've got their tabernacle right. There are external reasons. There are internal reasons. There are pirates. There are saboteurs. You've got to have your tabernacle right. But there's another reason that your ship may wreck. One of the reasons is you've got the wrong crew. If you have the wrong crew on the ship, they will lead you to a wreck. And the sailor said to me, you need an experienced crew on your ship. And if the crew is not experienced, you need them to put them off of the ship. Don't be sad that you got to put them off, and don't feel bad. That's why we have life preservers. You need to put some Negroes off your ship because they will take you down with them. You need the right crew on your ship. When you're on the ship, you need somebody who can pray. When you're on the ship, you need somebody who can encourage you. When you're on the ship, you need somebody who knows the word. When you're on the ship, you need somebody who has experience. And according to maritime history, you never want a newbie crew on the ship. You want people who've been through a storm. So when the ship starts to heel and keel, they won't freak out and think we're going to capsize. They can say, I've been here before, and I know I can make it to the other side because I've been through this before. And there are some people in here, you need to change your crew and make sure you've got the right crew rolling with you. So there are external reasons. There are internal reasons. There are pirates. There are saboteurs. Yes, and you've got to have the tabernacle right, and you've got to have the right crew. But the tragedy of this particular text is that we do not know why the ship's wrecked. We have no idea. We do not understand. But one of the reasons, one of the things is that you can have the right tabernacle and the right crew. You can do everything right, and your ship can still wreck. But I got some good news for you. Because if your ship wrecks, there's another vessel that can come and save you. There's a vessel, according to maritime history, known as the salvage ship. The salvage ship does not have an American flag. The salvage ship does not have an English flag, because the salvage ship is given by maritime law the ability to go in international waters. It has no borders, and the salvage ship's job is to go places nobody else will go and save things that everybody else says cannot be saved. The salvage ship will go into waters that nobody else wants to go into. The salvage ship, the word salvage is based off the word of salvation. It's a salvation ship. What it will do is go places that nobody else is willing to go. Do you want to know the name of the ship? It's not the USS Nimitz. Oh no, it is the old ship of Zion that's landed many a thousand. Get on board, get on board. And the captain of the ship is somebody who will go into deep water to save you. But here is the thing that messes me up about the salvage ship. I'm sorry, y'all, it messes me up. Because the salvage ship, the reason that it saves, if you talk to the captain, someone will say, you don't need to save pieces of a ship. But the captain will say, if I leave the wrecks in the canal, it'll eventually block the canal for the south side and for the north side. That even if you come from the gated community, it will block your ability to go to and fro. So when I save people, I'm saving it for the entire community, not just one side of the community. And whether you are white or black, whether you come from the wealthy side or the poor side, when our young people are saved, it benefits the entire community and the entire nation. So it is the salvage ship that when the salvage ship, all it does is take a piece of the ship that has been wrecked in deep water and takes that piece. I'm telling y'all, I ain't making it up. It takes that piece and builds a new ship around the old piece. It makes a new creation around the piece people said could not be saved. But here's the thing that I love about it. That if you save a piece from deep water, whether you save it in Russian territory or Australian territory, the salvage ship will put a placard on it. And the name on the placard is the same no matter where you are in the world. It's the same name whether you're in Australia. It's the same name whether you're in Russia. It's the same name whether you're in Mexico. It's the same name whether you're in South Africa. Do you want to know the name? It's the same name in Ghana. It's the same name in Ireland. Do you want to know the name? It's the same name whether you're in the Indian Ocean. It's the same name whether you're in Croatia. It's the same name. Do you want to know the name? I found out the name. The name I checked on Google. It's got to be the name, because Google says this is the name they put on every piece of salvaged material. You want to know the name? The name is redeemed. If you've been redeemed, let the redeemed of the Lord say so. If you've been redeemed, we have a God who will save us, who will lift us. Is there anybody in here? Have you been redeemed? You need to let people know that you haven't always been sailing the way you've been sailing, that you are redeemed. You are redeemed. Every salvaged ship has the same name, because when they save it, they want everyone who gets on the ship to know that it's saved material. And if you've been saved, you shouldn't try to replace your placard. Make sure people know you've been redeemed. You've been bought at a price. And the problem with the church today is we don't know what type of ship we are. We think we're a cruise ship, but the reality is we're on a salvage ship. And the preacher is not the captain. You just a steward. That's all you're there to do, is to serve somebody else. And they say when the salvage ship gets a piece of something that was wrecked and was down at the depths, they say that when they pull it up, everybody on the ship celebrates, because they took something that everybody else said could not be saved. And every time a young man is saved, we need to celebrate. Every time a sister is saved, we need to celebrate. Every time a young person does well, we need to celebrate. When they walk across a graduation stage, we need to celebrate. Because if it had not been for the Lord on our side, where would we be? If it had not been for the Lord on our side. God is looking for people to work on a salvage ship. If you are looking for a job on a cruise ship, they're hiring with the pirates. But if you are looking for a job on the salvage ship, that means you have to go into dangerous territory. That means you have to put your life on the line. You may be thrown overboard in the process, but God is calling God's people to stay on board of the salvage ship. There is nothing more tragic than a ship that never sails. But we serve a God who can send out a salvage ship called the SS Prince of Peace, the SS Rose of Sharon, the SS Jesus. He can save wrecked ships.